Money is something we all need to manage, but not everyone learns the best ways to handle it. Unfortunately, many of us end up making mistakes that could have been avoided with the right knowledge. In today's video, we'll dive into 10 common mistakes people make and, more importantly, how you can avoid them. Let's get started and make sure you don't fall into these traps. First one is not having a goal. Whether you're sitting in the car or staying at the airport, you've never started a trip without a destination in mind. The same logic applies to money. You should decide what it is you like to accomplish, and then remind yourself of the goal early and often. Are you trying to buy a house, become self-employed, save for your kids' college education, retire in your 50s? Whatever it is, write it down, picture it, and share it with anyone else who you're counting on to help you accomplish it. Your goal isn't money. Money is just paper. Create goals, both short-term and long-term. Then decide how much money you'll need to reach them. And number 2 is not having a spending plan. I've learned that spending plan is now a politically correct term for a budget nowadays. Apparently, people don't like the word budget anymore, so now we're using spending plan. Regardless, it's the same thing. If you have a job of any kind, you can bet that your employer tracks every dime they make and every dime they spend. Granted, they have an incentive to do so. Both income and expenses affect their income taxes, but it's only logical to want to know where your money is coming from and where it's going. Tracking or categorizing your expenses with a budget or a spending plan is the single greatest tool you have to accomplish with your money goals. A plan that includes what you intend to spend on things like entertainment, food, housing, or something like that, versus what you actually spend on allows you to fine-tune your finances and find places to save. Not doing this is like driving with your eyes closed. You might reach the destination, but you're certainly going to take more time getting there. And number 3 is attempting to derive self-esteem from possessions. Although we know that money doesn't buy happiness, very few of us act that way. Instead, we seem to go out of our way to appear successful by driving the right car, living in the right house, or wearing the right clothes. Nothing's wrong with nice things if you can afford them. Attempting to derive self-esteem from possessions is dumb on 2 counts. First, it's expensive. More important, it doesn't work. And number 4, doing what everyone else is doing. One of the world's wealthiest men, Warren Buffett, said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful." During the recession-induced stock market drop that began in the summer of 2008 and bottomed in March of 2009, the Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged all the way from 10,000 to 6,000. It was at that time that the smart investors out there began to buy up the stocks. And not because somebody on TV was telling them to. Most of the experts were as fearful as everybody else. They bought them because they probably lived through other market downturns and missed the opportunity then and weren't going to miss this opportunity again. Likewise, when the housing bubble was at its zenith, many people were buying as many houses as they could possibly borrow for, even though it should have been apparent that prices were overinflated. Now they're broke and smart people are shopping for real estate. Again, not necessarily because they were smarter than everyone else. Well, maybe they were, but they have probably seen this happen before and they learned from it. It's common knowledge to believe that the economy runs in cycles of boom and bust. Yet when times are good, everyone seems to believe that the trees grow to the sky. But when they're rough, the same people stand like deers in the headlights. If you're convinced the economy is going to zero, buy guns and canned food. But if you can reasonably expect a recovery someday, invest. Even if that day is a long way off, and even if it's possible things could get worse before they get better. And number 5 is starting to save late and large rather than soon and small. If you're 25 and you save $5 a day or $150 a month and you earn 10%, by the time you're 55, you'll have about $340,000 in your retirement account. If you wait till you're 45 to start accumulating that same $340,000, you'll have to save about $1,700 every month for those 10 years you have left till 55. True, you can't earn 10% without taking some risks, but over time, by taking calculated risks, you can. And number 6 is paying interest to buy things that drop in value. There are only 2 situations where paying interest makes sense. The first is when the purchase goes up in value at a rate greater than the rate of interest you're paying to finance it. For example, you borrow money at 5% to finance real estate that you think may return 8% in your overall investment. Other examples might include business loan or student loan. In other words, something that's going to return more, at least potentially, than it costs in interest payment. The other situation where paying interest makes sense is when you can earn more on your cash than you're paying in interest. For example, after taxes, I'm paying about 3.5% to finance my house. Since I think I can make more than 3.5% after tax in the stock market, I'll forego paying off the mortgage even if I had extra cash. But when it comes to things like cars, paying interest on a car that will lose value the second you drive off the lot is a terrible move. Not only does a car drop in value by 15 to 20% immediately, but the interest on that loan can keep you paying for it long after its loss is worth. If your employer is offering matching money when you participate in your company's 401k or other retirement plans, and you're not participating to the extent necessary to get the full match, you're literally refusing free money. Not to mention ignoring the opportunity to get tax deduction and grow your retirement savings tax deferred. There are only 2 kinds of people who turn down free money: people who really truly can't afford to put the money to get the match, and people who aren't thinking it through. For For example, my job matches 5% of my contributions, so by contributing just 5%, I'm effectively investing 10% of my money into my retirement fund. I'm not giving up free money, and neither should you. Number 8, buying a new car. Everyone knows that a car drops 15 to 20% before you get them home from the showroom. What makes it so odd is that so many people continue to buy one. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, this dumb money move breaks down in today's economic climate. As most of you are aware, the supplies of good used cars is low right now, which has driven their prices to nearly the cost of new ones. New car supplies are low as well, which means they don't depreciate right off the lot like they always have in the years past. This is a more complex decision than previously. Cars are for transportation and are depreciating assets, and the less you spend on one, the better, especially if you're borrowing money to do it. And number 9, buying more house than you can afford. Most advice out there will tell you not to spend over 25% of your gross income on a mortgage. While spending the maximum possible amount you can afford will make real estate agents happy, will it make you happy? When you buy more square feet than you're going to actually live in, you're required to insure them, furnish them, clean them, heat them, and cool them off. All of that costs money, time, and stress. Buying a big house makes sense if you're trying to make a leveraged bet on the future of housing prices, or if you're trying to impress your friends. If you're not doing either, buy what you need and put the money you save into more productive things like meeting your financial goals. Remember, you're not just paying for your house, you're also paying for the life outside of it. Life is for living, and if your house eats up too much of your budget, you'll miss out on experiences that truly enrich your life. And number 10, not saving for emergencies. Over 1 in 4 Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings, with many blaming rising living costs as the reason they're not able to save more. According to Forbes Advisor survey, 32% of Gen Z, 31% of millennials, 27% of Gen Z, and 20% of baby boomers have less than $1,000 saved. Nearly half of Gen Z and Gen X have less than $5,000 in savings. Saving $1,000 as a starting point is a good emergency fund goal. It may not solve every problem, but it's a great first step in building financial security. Aim to set aside at least this amount to avoid having to turn to credit cards or loans when an unexpected cost pops up. By avoiding these dumb money moves, you'll be well on your way to better financial health. Remember, it's not about being perfect, but about making smart choices that align with your goals. Keep learning, keep improving, and keep growing your wealth. And if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.